And I wrote an interesting blog. I hope some of you had time to read it, on the Indra's net recently. And it's quite fascinating. Of course, this comes from the Hindu philosophy. And I really love some of the myths. I also love the ancient Greek myths as well, because they show us so much truth. And in Indra's net was cast across the world. And it's like a huge spider web of intricate crisscrossing patterns. And at each junction point, there's a jewel, a glittering jewel. And each of those jewels, and they're infinite in number because Indra's net is infinite, represents an individual soul. And each of those jewels is multifaceted, reflecting each and every other jewel in the net as well as the whole. So the intricacy that's playing out here in each and every one of us as we deal with the multifaceted experience of being born human on this earthly plane and reflecting all others as well is quite fascinating. But the greatest light that's being reflected is the light of the divine connection between all those, that divine crystal light, which is reflected innately in each and every one of those jewels. So it's a very twisted and interesting web we weave on the human plane. But it is only when we remember that we are that divine light, ultimately, that is the essence, consciousness, that one which unites us, is always there. We're just here to drop the veils of illusion that hide that, and hide the beauty that we all share together as one light. Well, I'll expand on that. Consciousness is expressing as multiplicity and diversity through all of humanity and all sentient beings, through the rocks and the stones, through all things. If there's only one, there's one. It can't be one plus one. It's not me in consciousness. So consciousness doesn't need the separation. It is all things expressing from one thing. So if we go back to that beautiful analogy of the Indra's net, where all the jewels are at each junction point, and they're multifaceted, and each of those jewels, we could say, is one of the separate humans or sentient beings that are expressing on this earthly plane, then they're first lit by that one consciousness or that divine light. Okay. Then there is the play of the realm of humanity, where we are born as an innocent, open consciousness. Then slowly we are trained into being little Cathys or little Emilys or Denises or Stuarts or Sorayas, and we're taught to be able to live on this earthly plane and function in a way, because it's interesting in the past, at times in India, when there were some great saints who completely lost their identity as the separate self and fell into a divine awakened trance. and walked around, they would have to be fed and clothed and taken care of. They lost all sense of being able to use the frontal lobe as a separate person. So truly, in this day and age, it seems that we're given an opportunity to awaken to who we truly are, which is that one divine presence, but also have the gift of living a life and experiencing this wonder, this incredible and beautiful planet, and being able to experience ourselves on this human realm, which, if we remember who we truly are, can be a beautiful, joyful, wonderful experience. But once we lose ourselves into the separate self, the identity, and it's me and the world, and my emotions, my feelings, my thoughts, as soon as we claim that separate self as mine, then we fall into complete separation, which is like the fall from grace, really. You know, from that beautiful, graceful flow of peaceful presence and an experience of oneness, we fall back into me against the world, and then it's my suffering and I become a victim of. And that feeling of separation can give a deep, heartfelt yearning for love. And of course, this is often misidentified as being love for another human, a passionate love, to find a mate. Now, there's nothing wrong with that either. But if we mistake that divine yearning and seek that through sexual relationship, that can again lead us into very messy waters and down a lot of different rabbit holes, which can lead us into deep emotional turmoil. First, if we can find that beautiful connection, and then flow comes into our lives, and we are moved, we are lived, and those beings who we are meant to connect with will simply be in our path effortlessly.